I'm just going to say it. I'm going to say it. I've wanted to say it my whole life. I'm just going to say it. You can't cancel me for this because I want to say this. So, gravity's not real. Gravity's not real, guys. It's not. They made it up. It's not a real force. It doesn't exist. There is no such thing as gravity. It is propaganda for outer space and globe Earth, and it doesn't exist. There is no such thing as gravity, because if it did exist, then this and this would fall and hit the ground at the exact same time. But we know that's not true because this is heavier than this. So mass is what determines how fast things fall, not gravity. Mass isn't everything. We know what mass is. We know that mass is everywhere. We know that this has mass. We know the air has mass. We know everything has mass. Gravity does not exist. You want to know how they calculate gravity? You want to know how they figure out how the velocity of how fast things fall? You want to know how they figure that out? First, they measure it, right? They measure how far a distance is and how long it takes. But in order for gravity to work in their mathematical equations, they have to literally make up a number. They make up a random number to fit into the equation so that gravity always works, right? It's called the drag coefficient. If you don't believe me, look it up. Drag coefficient. It's circular reasoning. They created the number to make gravity work, and then to make the number, you have to first calculate how long it takes for something to fall, and then you can figure out what that number is. Circular reasoning. Doesn't make any sense. Other thing is, gravity is not constant across the globe. That's the point. Gravity is not constant. How convenient, right? Where air is less dense, gravity is more. Interesting. Maybe it's because there's less drag because, air is less dense. And density and mass is what things use to fall, not gravity. So, I'm just going to say it.
And the earth takes shape like clay under a seal. Job 38:14. The truth is always in plain sight. The Bible was correct. The earth is flat.
Recently came across this book. I was out in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. This book is from 1777. America was 1 year old at the time. The name of this book is right here. It's the Universal Geographical Grammar from 1777. I'll be going through this book, making a lot of videos. There's some crazy stuff in here. I'm just going to give a quick preview of this because there's things in here like, so here's the opening map. Here's the opening map of the world. And let's see, hold on. Right here, Eastern Tartary. And right here is Western Tartary. And there's China. And what we'll get into farther back, it's going to be Chinese Tartary also. And then over here, the lower half of America is Florida. The left side, you can see California. Then the whole top is empty. And there is no Canada. So then, we'll go to the next one. This is the doctrine of the sphere. Here is the artificial sphere. Because the world was coming from being flat and going into being a globe. And right here, you've got the doctrine of the globe. So now we got geographical problems performed by the globe. All right, so we've got problem one. The diameter of an artificial globe being given to find its surface in square and its, hold on a second. This is for 1700. So the F's, the lowercase f's, or the cursive F's are actually lowercase s's. So I've got to convert everything. It's solidity. Okay, solidity. Solidity in its cubic measure, which looks like mephir, right? Right there, mephir. Folidity, so it's solidity, right? Anyway, there's a lot of things about this book that are very different. So we got problem 2, given any place on the globe. Problem 3, given the time of the year. Problem 4, given any place of the globe and the time of the year. Problem 5, given new places on the globe. See, this is the thing, is that they're having to recalibrate, reconfigure the way that they see distances and find places on a globe map, because before this, everything was flat earth maps.
They don't want you to look at a flat map because it will all make sense, right? I just put a circle around here because it looks like the globe, right? But I also know that the old map, the T and O map of Africa, Europe, and Asia, so I just put it over there. And I was like, oh, then I looked right here. I was like, isn't that where the Titanic sank? Isn't that where the billionaire in that submarine sank? And what do you know? The overlap zone is exactly the general region where the Titanic sank. Now, you think these billionaires that have all the money, resources, and educated people to circle around them are going to let them continue to go in the same area where other really elite, wealthy people have died or drowned? And they're still going there to die and drown? And there's so many anomalies that's happening right there, but like, yeah.
Grand Rising TikTok conspiracy theorists, Hollywood propaganda. Who do we have here? Dave Weiss. What movies is he in? 2013, 2016. Yeah, looky there. Another gatekeeping Masonic Actors Guild Award goes to you, my friend. By the way, Flat Earth Dave, FED, Flat Earth Dave, FED, Federal Agent, the Clock app, spying on you 24/7. Good luck with that.
In 1969, they told us we made a phone call to the moon, across 238,000 miles, crystal clear. Live broadcast, no delay. But here on Earth, my cell signal drops if I drive through a tunnel. A storm can knock out service. Half the time, I can't even get reception in my own house. So how is it that over 50 years ago, with 1960s technology, we could dial the moon with no problem? But today, on Earth, our calls break in the middle of a city? Was it really progress, or was it a performance? Because when you look closely, the story doesn't add up. The moon call wasn't about connection, it was about illusion. A staged script to make us believe the future had already arrived. Meanwhile, the real tech, the resonance, the wireless power, the true communication, was hidden away. So the question isn't just, did they really call the moon? It's, why can't we even hold a signal on Earth?
The government faked the Apollo moon landings to assert dominance in the space race?
No, to make money, actually. Mostly to make money. But yes, it actually absolutely was false. The amount of money that NASA has been able to bleed out of the government, actually out of your pockets, because of taxation and things like that, has been extraordinary. And of course, it's just funded the cabal. So NASA is a cabal entity. And pretty much almost everything that they have represented to people has been false, to encourage, of course, to justify, of course, their extraordinary hoarding of money. People would say spending of money, but it's actually been a hoarding of money. And so they have to keep up the facade, and they have to artificiate all kinds of things that look like they're doing spectacular things, so people will just be like, oh yes, we are so happy that you are taking more money from us because we are really doing some fantastic things.
So let me get this straight. You launched nuclear warheads into the sky because you were curious what was up there. You named it Operation Fishbowl because we're living in a bowl-shaped dome, and you thought, hey, what if we just punch a hole in it? Real mature. Newsflash. You don't throw nukes at the ceiling because you're bored. You do it because you know something's above it, and it's not Santa Claus. Let's break it down. 1962, high-altitude tests. Explosions so bright they lit up the night sky like it was noon. Electromagnetic pulses, aurora spirals. A very desperate attempt to reach something you're not supposed to. And the name? Fishbowl, because you knew this realm is enclosed, and you knew there are watchers on the outside. You weren't testing physics. You were trying to escape the simulation. And the universe said, access denied. Next time, maybe just ask nicely.
And then I start, because I know people, I start calling people. I was like, dude, really, how many rockets is it? They're like, well, boil off. And okay, so I was like, some people are like, well, it's looking like 8. I was like, 8 rockets? We have to fire 8 rockets to fire 1 rocket to the moon? And then they're like, I mean, that's what they're saying, but it's probably more like 12. Really? And then I was like, I'm an engineer. I know how to do this stuff. So I started to account for like nominal schedule slip and boil off. And this is how many rockets it's going to take to fill up that thing to get it to the moon.
So you can pause there.
If you had any questions.
So he said he did the math. It's going to take up to 24 rockets taller than the Saturn V to go to the moon. You see that? This is why they destroyed all the schematics, the blueprints, and everything in the attempt to cover up the fact that it's technologically impossible to go to the moon with the Saturn V rocket, which he just proved. That you saw the Saturn V was smaller than Elon Musk's rocket, and it's going to take 24 rockets taller than the Saturn V to have enough fuel to go to the moon. Are we convinced yet?
We live in a world where they want us to believe that these men walked on the moon. This obviously means that they are not here with us. And just a friendly reminder that these people just never existed. Keep enjoying the show. I mean, what can you do about it? It's in such a beautiful world that they try to control, try to regulate what days I could come here, if I could light up a fire or not. But man, what a beauty. 93 million miles away. Sun rays. Sun rays.
You know what's crazy is this is what we observe. This is observable reality. If the sun was 93 million miles away and 1 million times bigger than the Earth, we would only view parallel rays just like this. But when the sun is local, you see perfectly crepuscular angled rays, approximately 7.2 degrees on either side. This is what we observe. Only possible. It's only possible if the sun is smaller than the Earth and local to the Earth. Only way that's possible. There is quite literally a 0% possibility of viewing this all the time if this is actually what's happening. It's 0%. Literally physics. It's crazy that you guys believe in pseudoscience. Literally pseudoscience. It's not real. It can't be real. And we believe in real science, which is something that is observable, measurable, and repeatable. Just like this. We always view this, not this. The sun is local, the Earth is stationary. Peace and love.
In ancient Norse cosmology, the world is not a spinning sphere, but a flat disk. That disk is Midgard, the realm of men, surrounded by an immense ocean that marks the boundary of the known world. To represent it, the myths spoke of the serpent Jormungand, so large that it encircled the entire Earth. At the center of this disk is the axis of the cosmos, symbolized by the great tree Yggdrasil. This tree connects the different levels of the universe. Eyobesunda Ayaskomin Vaiyobinbei. Above are the realms of the gods, in the middle the world of humans, and below the domains of the dead. Thus, they conceive the cosmos organized in vertical layers, connected by a central axis. Above the disk extends a solid vault, the sky. According to tradition and its poetic way of representing it, it was the skull of the primordial giant Ymir, supported at the 4 cardinal points. But in practical terms, it is the idea of a sky as a dome that covers the earth. In that vault, the sun and the moon move, seen as luminous bodies traveling in circular paths. The stars, for their part, were considered fixed points of light embedded in the vault, similar to sparks in the firmament. Thus, setting aside the mythical language, Norse cosmology described a flat and circular world, surrounded by an endless sea, and covered by a solid sky.
This is the Chinese weather balloon. Take a good look at this part. This is an image of our satellite. Look at this, and look at this again. And remember, NASA is the largest consumer of helium in the entire world. Remember what the drama was? Joe Biden wouldn't take it down, and he was saying it was because it was over a school. It was a failing satellite.
In 1969, President Nixon made a phone call to the moon using just a simple rotary phone. Picture this. Nixon sits at his wooden desk in the Oval Office. picking up an old analog telephone. He dials a number and somehow connects with astronauts 240,000 miles away in space. But here's the problem. Analog signals from 1969 were incredibly weak. Back then, long-distance calls across states would drop constantly or sound like static. Even today, your cell phone loses signal just driving through a tunnel or going a few miles into the countryside. Yet somehow this ancient rotary phone sent a crystal clear signal through the vacuum of space. No cell towers, no satellites, no internet. Just an old landline reaching the moon. The technology that couldn't reliably connect New York to California somehow worked perfectly across 250,000 miles of empty space. Think about it. If we can barely get good reception in our own homes today, how did a 1969 phone call reach the moon?
Flat Earth map dates back over 1,000 years. This map is credited to being created by a Persian astronomer. His name was Al-Biruni and he lived between 973 AD to 1048 AD. It's the official map of the United Nations and also the United States Geological Survey. It used to be present in many places before the creation of NASA and the Antarctic Treaty in 1959. Here you see it with Admiral Byrd. This map has been restored by Dmitry from Russia with suggestions of mine, Idialenkar. Known by my YouTube channel Flat Earth Banjo, I asked Dmitry to include the Bermuda Triangle and Point Nemo, a place deep in the Pacific where NASA buries rockets. Then Robert Tozzi, a professional mapmaker, came along and enhanced the map even more. There are many people now selling this map online, but if you could order it from my online store, I would greatly appreciate it. Visit my online store now and order one of the items. I humbly thank you.